Dimension W series premiere Collector. Now, before I get into the review for this first episode, which was actually pretty cool, I wanted to let you guys know a little crazy story about how I ended up watching the 7th episode instead of the first episode when I first turned the series on, because I wasn't at home, because I'm normally not home to watch the shows on Toonami, so I ended up watching them online for the most part to kind of get the reviews out on time. So I went to Hulu, and I just instantly hit, like, oh, it came right up. I hit watch latest episode like an idiot, not thinking it's not going to be episode 1, because I've never watched the series. It's going to be the latest episode, like it said. So I went into this show in episode 7, which is the craziest thing, because when I was watching it, I thought it was just like a jam-packed episode 1 where they talk about backstory and some stuff like that, which of course I will not spoil. I will say one thing for anyone who remembers this, but that is definitely Steve Jobs in episode 7. That's all I'm going to say about that. So when you see episode 7, try to remember that I said that, because that was definitely Steve Jobs. But it was really interesting because I finished the episode, and normally on Hulu, it'll say, like, oh, play the next episode, but instead it showed One Punch Man. And I was like, that's really weird. It normally says play the next episode. And then I clicked something, and it went to a different episode, and I was like, oh, crap. Where the heck was I at? And turns out I was in episode 7. But I went back and I watched the first episode. I'm so glad. It's really crazy, but they give a really big backstory in episode 7. But the way they did it, like I said, it could have easily been the first episode, because it was almost like this one where it's like, oh, you know, W and stuff like that. It's basically this. And that's pretty much exactly how it went. It was a tiny bit of information, and you just get to meet the characters, and I just thought it was one of those anime where it starts in the middle, basically. You're like, these people have known each other for a long time. I thought that's how it started. So that whole 7th episode was like, okay, they're just doing this. We get backstory on this. We get a little info on that. Boom. And we're going into the series. And then I was like, oh, no, that's 7 weeks in, and they've already built up a bunch of character stuff. So it's kind of crazy that it was the 7th episode, but they introduced a lot of people. And then I guess I thought everyone was being introduced, obviously, so I didn't know some of these characters already knew other characters, but whatever. Anyway, I went back to the first episode. Fortunately, oddly enough, the only thing I learned is that the robot can cry, because I can only remember Kyo's name at this point. Mira, I believe is her name. The only thing I learned from the first episode is that she could cry, because that surprised me from the outro. It's like, oh, she can cry. And then when I went back and watched the episode, I was like, she can cry, and they show that in the first episode. But I like this first episode. I thought it was pretty cool. I love the character design on Kyo. I thought he was really awesome. When I saw the trailers on Toonami, I was like, I think I'm going to really love this show. And it was a really good first episode. I mean, the ending was really crazy, because the way they do it, where it's like this guy who, he and his wife changed the landscape of the planet. For whatever reason, they killed his family and took his info, and he's kind of like left to basically just rot away and die. He goes on the run to do it, really. And so he makes Mira on his own. He made whatever that crazy core was that he used at the end, which was just like, it, I don't know if it, like, I'm guessing it absorbed the power of every core in the area, because, you know, otherwise it just did nothing. But I'm assuming it kind of took in, all of that power and then released it in an explosion, and it just, kind of wiped some stuff out. And it was a really weird explosion, because it was a huge explosion, and it blew up a couple of buildings, but it didn't seem like it was a huge explosion that went blocks and blocks. But it seemed like only the buildings right around him really got any force, and then everything else was just like wind and gust blowing up smoke. So I don't know if that even matters, but it was something I noticed. It was like a huge explosion, but only the epicenter seemed to really be affected, and everything else just, like, some windows blew out and stuff. Excuse me. But I thought it was really cool. The action was good in this episode. I love what they do with the certain scenes where they'll show the character, and there'll be like a little white silhouette, and then like a solid color background. I thought that was actually a really cool design. That looked really sweet. I like Kyo's main weapons, where he uses like the little daggers and stuff, or like, little needles and stuff to fight people. So that was really sweet. I love the opening, because if you're watching on Toonami, of course I haven't seen it on there, So I don't know what they cut or what they kept, but I love the opening because he's like dancing in the beginning of it. I was like, this is really awesome. And it was just a really good episode. I was like, this is actually pretty cool. Oddly enough, I think if episode 7 was the first episode, it would have been a better first episode because of there's literally an opening scene where he does like something so random, but it's like full on anime where it's totally impossible. And I was like, it was literally like 10 seconds into the episode. I was like, I'm gonna love this anime. And oddly enough, that happened in episode 7. But I still enjoyed this, even without that like silly opening scene that they had in episode 7. But as soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm gonna love this character. And I got some interesting information. Like I said, I'm not gonna spoil any of it, of course. I wouldn't do that. But what they showed in episode 7 is actually close to what they showed in this. It just had more detail to it. To be totally honest, it was almost the exact same information. Plus, the actual overarching story was slightly advanced. Had nothing to do with what happened in this first episode. So the whole, I mean, obviously the whole thing is clearly singular, but the overarching stuff I just thought was being introduced. So it clearly didn't reference anything. It mentioned the guy's name, the doctor who died. It mentioned him, and I was like, oh, this guy just randomly died a long time ago. And that was it. So it's just kind of funny, and it makes me curious how singular each episode is going to be and what the overarching storyline is going to be. Because like I said, it's only episode 7, so it wasn't like a ton of stuff happened where it was, obviously for me, it wasn't clear that it was not the first episode because of just how solitary certain stuff was. I thought it just began like, this is the drive for this certain character, and that's how it starts. So it's kind of interesting, but I certainly enjoyed this first episode. Visually, looks awesome. Just all anime in general, current anime just looks so good to me. But it looks really good. He's got a really cool car. He's working on a different car, which I have seen because that does show up in episode 7. So that big moment was nothing. It actually doesn't show up like he's driving it, but it showed, like, basically you see it. Actually, you see it in this episode, so it's really nothing. You see it. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, it's in the exact same position, so it's in both episodes. I don't know why I was thinking it was different. Um, well, yeah, pretty much nothing else is really shown. I'm trying to, obviously I don't want to keep trying not to say anything specific, but I enjoyed this episode. It was definitely really good. Definitely funny too. The 7th episode didn't have like the comedy like this where Kyo meets Mira, so she's like slapping him in the face and stuff. So that I thought was really funny because each time she slapped him, it was like bones were breaking in his neck and stuff. So I thought that was actually pretty funny. But it was a cool first episode. I'm definitely curious. Fortunately, with episode 7 being what it was, I got some information, which I'm assuming I'll have questions. Well, question might be answered since I skipped ahead, but I'm guessing some stuff might come up. I don't really know if, because it seems so singular, I don't know if it was even related to anything else. I really think it was just, here's just something random about a character, and that was really it. I don't think it tied into anything that happened previously, because they have zero references to it. It's just, here's some stuff, and that was honestly how the episode started. So I'm curious about some things which I can't exactly mention, but I'm definitely looking forward to this series. I think it was a really good first episode. I can attest to, even skipping over the other episodes in between, the latest episode is also pretty good, so I'm excited to get into this series. Definitely want to know what you guys thought about this first episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. With it being the series premiere, I want to know what you guys think about this as a new sort of sci-fi anime, because I feel like we don't have nearly enough sci-fi anime that really aren't like just like full on something with mechs. It's either sort of sci-fi magical type style, or if it's sci-fi, it tends to be inside of the computer type of deal. And even those, we don't have too many of those, but that seems to be the most common thing when it does end up being sci-fi. So I really like this because it gives me sort of a Ghost in the Shell type of feel, where crazy advanced technology, but it's, you know, people kind of blending into this world. And then we have our main character who decides, I'm not going to be a part of that world either. So that I think is pretty interesting too. So, you know, for whatever reason, he decided to stay away from it. And, you know, it's kind of cool. It's like, you know, why did he choose to do that? So I'm looking forward to I'm whenever someone says like, "Oh, this person, the whole world does this, but this person doesn't," that's just television. We all know we're getting an answer to that. So I'm looking forward to that answer, whenever that shows up. But as soon as they said, I'm like, yeah, there's something going on here. So looking forward to that story. But clearly he's super awesome without it. Like he had the cool, like the cool chains, or not chains, but like the wires hooked on the needles. That was a really cool move too. And when he pulls them out three at a time, it's really impossible for me not to think of Wolverine. So he does that. Also, and I mentioned this with the opening, how I like it. They do some stuff where they just make them look super cool. Like there's a part, and hopefully they kept that for the Tsunami opening, because it's just like an awesome, weird little part when he puts the jacket on and he just does like that, and then like fire just shoots out of the ground or something crazy. I was like, that didn't need to be there, but that was just, that's how you make a character look awesome. He just puts on a robe in a really cool way, and it's just like he flips it back and some fire shoots out somewhere. And you can just tell that the character is kind of awesome like that. Although, in this episode, we don't see it too much, because we get like, oh, from Mira's point of view, we get him like knocking people out and stuff in quick glimpses. But I'm looking forward to like just a good full-on fight scene, because you considering how many people were in that room and they all had blades and everything, I want to see just a full fight where we see every punch, kick, and jump, because I think it'll be pretty awesome, especially considering his unique weapons. I think it would just look even cooler, especially if he added wires to the fights, which you'd have to be amazing to do that, in such close quarters. It typically wouldn't be a good idea to have a weapon that can just whip around on you. But if you're super amazing, then you can kind of make that work. So definitely looking forward to that. Very curious about certain answers. The whole robot being more than just a robot thing, seen that before, but I'm kind of curious, because I don't think I've ever seen it where that crazy special robot lived with their creator and father, and then they're basically an orphan now. I think that's a cool concept that I don't believe I've ever seen in an anime. So I'm looking forward to that as well, and how Mira kind of adjusts to this new world, because she no longer has her father, and she can be taken out by anti-coil technology, which I assume doesn't exactly run rampant in the world, because everything seems to use coils. So that might not be an issue for her, but she's basically an orphan, and I think that's a cool idea, because it almost, with her being so human, like it's basically her as just a human orphan. But even that's still entertaining. But add the sci-fi element to it, and whatever, there's got to be some extra mystery with her and what she knows about her father and stuff like that, because she knew what he was doing, and we still don't. So there's some information that she's got, and maybe we'll learn about her creation and stuff like that. So certainly looking forward to that. But I think this is a good introduction to sort of the new sci-fi anime world. But like I said, definitely want to know what you guys think about it. What you guys want to see from this anime, because when I first saw it, I was like, this guy looks like a samurai because of his hairstyle, and he's got the robe and everything. So I'm honestly surprised he doesn't just have his own katana on him. But I'm looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be pretty good. Waiting to see. We already have like a huge organization that's kind of crappy. They killed a dude's family off, which apparently was like, oh, that guy messed up and didn't understand the orders correctly, so he totally murdered your family, and that was it. So clearly evil organization. We have the main characters. One of the main characters' friends works for this organization, and of course the main character doesn't want to do that. We have illegal coils, which those are coming from somewhere, and Mira wants to collect them. I'm assuming to, I guess, keep her father's legacy good or something like that. Keep him out of the hands of bad guys who want to do bad things. Which, one thing that was really weird is when the guy got the illegal coil and he used it on a super soaker, and it made it super powerful. I was just like, why does that even have the compatible part to add a coil? That didn't seem to make any sense to me, because I'm like, well, if it's going to do that and blow something up, why would it have a coil to begin with? Because super soakers aren't exactly made through computers. It's air and physics. You pull a thing and then you push a thing, and that's it. So I don't know. I thought that was pretty interesting. Like, why did that super soaker have that? But either way, I'm looking forward to this next episode. Like I said, I may or may not just kind of catch up on this, since I ended up watching the most recent episode anyway. I might just end up catching up on this and not do it week by week like my other Toonami stuff. Also, I'm just so curious about this one, and it's brand new, and mostly because I screwed up. It's kind of like, might as well. Plus, it's also very recent. Like I said, it's only in week 7. So if you enjoyed this on Toonami, then you can certainly catch up fairly soon. But like I said, I do want to know what you guys thought about this first episode, and also what you guys would like to see based on kind of what we got in this one. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.